Hi everybody, I'm Julia. Welcome back to Julia at Home. Today's video is about Vikings. So this is part of our Middle Ages study that we're doing this year with my second grader and my kindergartner. This is not a large unit like I did for ancient history. You can go back and see some of those videos I did in like ancient Rome, ancient Greece, ancient China, and ancient Egypt. But more of what I'm going to call a mini unit as we're going along in the curriculum. There are just a couple areas where I have a few more resources. So that's what this is, a mini Viking unit, if you will. And this is to go along with our curriculum we're using this year. We're using Curiosity Chronicles, Snapshot of Medieval History, and I believe chapter 10 is the one that goes into the Vikings. And then they come back up just throughout history for a little while. They really impacted Europe quite a bit. So, but that's the main chapter on them. And if you've watched my other videos, you know that I love books. So that's where I'm going to start yet again. I've got a small stack here you can see. And these will all be linked below as well, as much as I can find at least. So this is Dolaire's book of Norse myths. There are some other good Norse myth books out there too. I know Usborne has some. I already had this one. And we also have the Dolaire's Greek myths. And yeah, we already have the Dolaire's Greek myths ones too, which is one of my favorites from childhood. So I like their illustrations, and they were actually, I want to say Swedish, or at least Scandinavian, so I thought this would probably be in their wheelhouse as far as understanding these myths, and we really enjoyed it. Let me show you inside a little bit. It goes through many of the major and minor gods as well, and Norse mythology is a little different from some of the others. There's different groups of gods. There's the Aesir and the Vanir, and I'm not at all sure if I'm saying that right. And then there's the Jotuns, I want to say. It's spelled with a J. I'm saying Jotuns. It could be completely wrong. If you know correctly how to correctly pronounce these, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, they incorporate a lot of pictures, which I really like for the kids. And there's small sections. So this is about, I'm saying Yggdrasil. I don't know if that's right, but the world tree. And it starts there. And it goes... You can see there's more pictures than writing there until through there. So they're really short sections. So what I would do is just do one or two at a time. Often my son really wanted me to do more. And so some days we did, depending on our timing. But we just do this either during history study or during our morning time, right after our circle time when we're doing other subjects, just throw in a couple of these and eventually get through the whole thing. So it took us longer to read through these than it did to do our mini unit as a whole, and I'm okay with that. We just kind of kept going with them for a little while. Next is You Wouldn't Want to Be a Viking Explorer. I have shown several in the series before. My kids really like it. The pictures are cartoony, which that's not usually my favorite style, and they can be a little gory and depressing, but it's intriguing for kids. This one in particular has them exploring and actually going from Greenland, I believe, to North America and exploring, then leaving again. So that's just interesting, and that ties into something else I'm going to come back to in a few minutes. Yet another series we really like. This is kind of just a fun add-on. I don't think there was any really information gleaned from this that we didn't have from other sources, but it's just a fun book, and the kids really enjoy the Magic Treehouse series. So this is number 15, Viking Ships at Sunrise. So we did read that one. And this, if you have like an elementary school student, they might be able to read this on their own. I'm really not good at the levels and like knowing what grade levels the reading. I mean, my daughter who's in second grade can read this and my kindergartner cannot. But that, I mean, if it gives you an idea of some of the size, I guess, and there's some pictures in here. So I have this book, Outrageous Women of the Middle Ages, and for Vikings, we read the first woman in here, who was Aud the Deep-Minded. Let me see. It's divided by area of the world, actually. Let me just show you a little bit about this book. So, yeah. So the first is British Isles, France, and Scandinavia, and there's Germany and Italy, Middle East, North Africa, and the Far East. So I've been sprinkling these in as we go. And I think there's also one for the Renaissance, I want to say. We don't have that one as of yet, but I might get it. So it has a little map at the beginning of each section to show you. And this is Aud the Deep-Minded. And this was a really cool story. She's kind of like a Viking matriarch, and goes exploring and founds things, and it has little inserts, you know, about different things to do with the Vikings and such as well. So I really enjoyed these stories, just because there's not, history really focuses on men. That's who's written about more. So knowing some information about the women is really nice. Okay, so this is the first of a series of books we have, and I have the old versions. I was actually, my parents had this when I was growing up, and so I asked them if I could have their version of the series. So there may be updated versions, but this is book one of A History of Us, or History of US by Joy Hakim. And the reason I pulled this out, this one's from prehistory to 1600s. There is I don't know if it's a full chapter or a section in here about the Vikings. It's not a full chapter. It's just a little section here that we read about the Vikings in Canada. Let's see. In Newfoundland, there's like an old settlement there that showed that they came over and probably lived there for a while. And then they think they left, although they may have incorporated themselves into the local indigenous tribes as well. It's unclear exactly what happened there. And the You Wouldn't Want to Be book, it's, I don't know if they have the evidence of this, but what happens in that book is they get to North America, they settle for a little bit, they have a really hard time with the winters, and then they meet with a tribe that already lives there that they get into an encounter with, and then end up leaving because their leader was killed. So I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what happens in the You Wouldn't Want to Be a Viking Explorer book. And I think it's at least partially based on the reality that they've found artifacts of the Viking settlement there. Then, to go along with all these books, I did have a few activities that we did. I want to show you this, and I have mixed feelings about this. So I've had my eye on these books for a while, actually. I was thinking of trying them. Most of them are in print, so it's kind of, okay, let me back up here. They have drawings, and they show you how to draw them. So for Vikings in here, for example, they demonstrate how to draw a long ship or a long house, the type that the Vikings would have lived in, not to be confused with the longhouse of the Haudenosaunee. I hope I'm saying that right, the Iroquois people, but I think Haudenosaunee is the more appropriate name. Okay. And then after the drawings, they have basically copy work that is like about, this one is the Vikings, but you know, whatever the subject is. And so I actually really like the drawing portions, but I just wasn't crazy about the writing. I just didn't think it was like great writing, and I would rather my kids just narrate to me. And what I've been doing with my second grader this year for not every week, but for some weeks in history and also some weeks in science, is I have her narrate to me, I write it down, and then she copies that. So she's writing her own narration, but just with me helping in the middle. I think it's an intermediate step there. So anyway, I don't love the copy work in these that is given, but I like the concept of it, and I do like that they show you how to draw. So I asked my kids if they wanted to do the drawings. We didn't get to it because they were, with this unit, we kind of ran into a block, and I think it's just the timing of when we were doing this, like just before the holidays, and there was a couple activities I wanted to do, including this one, that they just weren't interested in, and I just didn't push it. So that's what happened there. But yeah, so that's where I am in this. Most of these are in print, which is why I hadn't tried it before. And could we do cursive? So but I think this one, and I think there's a couple others that are now also in cursive. So just so you know, that's what that is. And then I have Food and Cooking in Viking Times. I used these for all of our ancient, well, okay, for Egypt, Greece, and Rome. I think I had them. And I think this might be the last one in the series. I haven't found any others. But this goes into information on them, on the Vikings and what they would have eaten, and food. And then it has some recipes in it. So let me look over my notes here. So we made a meat and herb stew, bread, honey roasted root veggies, and we made this drink thing that's in here as well. Hopefully I have some footage of that to insert in here to show you. There's other recipes that we didn't try. Like they have fish steaks and herb butter. That actually sounds delicious right now. A pork stew. I believe we did chicken. Oh, this is the drink. It's a fruit and honey punch. There. My kids really liked that. So that was fun. They helped. I have them help me with the meal. I end up doing a majority of it just so that it gets done in some sort of timely fashion. But I also enjoy doing it as well. So that's food and cooking in Viking times. And you don't need this book. You can also just like look up recipes online. Pinterest has some idea for some like Viking style breads and oat cakes and stuff. So that is another option. Another fun activity is to look at Viking runes. I did find some worksheets online on the runes. I believe the Curiosity Chronicles actually had like a translation page, and I found some online as well. And then we did some decoding with the runes, and I wanted them to do like a runic message on the clay or write their names in runes on clay or something, but they weren't interested. But I think that'd be really cool. I've seen other people do that. And this activity they did want to do though, and that is we made shields. So I don't know if you could see the whole thing. This is my daughter's. I made my son's a little bit smaller because he looked at that and was like, that is really big. And it was really too big for him. This is probably actually like normal adult size shield. But I just cut out cardboard and I had them paint it. And I marked the middle to show them I was going to put this here to be metal. It's just aluminum foil, and I put it on the edge. And then my daughter's straps have been coming off. I didn't. So I just hot glued some felt to the back. There was one more strap on here. My son's are still on. I think I ran out of hot glue at some point and tried to use regular glue on hers. I need to get some more hot glue to do that. But that's all we did. It was actually pretty simple. The hardest part was measuring and cutting out the circle, actually. So I don't know if it's an exact circle. We tried our best. But yeah, the Viking shields, that was really fun. We also, before we painted them, I did have them look at some examples of Viking shields that have been found, just to show them like what could have been on them. And then the last thing I want to mention is we did look at some videos. So actually mostly I think I found on YouTube a couple channels. Some of the videos were more, most of them were really for adults. But some, I found them appropriate for the kids, but you might want to pre-screen them. And then I kind of went down a rabbit hole of researching possibly making my son a Viking outfit, like historically accurate Viking outfit. I did not end up actually doing it because it was not practical for my time limitations currently. However, I did find a fun channel that I will link below, where he goes into a lot about Viking clothing, and I'm sure there are others as well out there. This is just the one I found. And I kind of sketched out an idea was what I was going to make for my son. I was going to make him, I told him I wasn't going to make him that full underclothes because that was too much, but just like a pair of trousers that they would have worn. And they usually had like a tunic, like kind of a long shirt, which is my understanding. I was going to make him a cloak with, they used, basically the cloak was going to be just like a rectangle of fabric where they would use basically a pin on there. So that's what I was going to make for him, but I didn't end up making it. But it was fun doing the research, and I learned quite a bit about the Vikings and their clothing doing the research. So I will link to, I think it's the Welsh Viking, and if I'm saying it wrong, it'll be linked below. And I will also link to the other Viking channel I was watching quite a bit, and maybe some of my favorite videos that I watched on there. And that's it for my Viking mini unit here. We actually did fit quite a lot into a small condensed time period. You could also do a lot more with this unit, like making a model of a ship or one of their houses. You could do a lot of good map work. Oh, wait, one more book. Okay, I'm popping in here with a bonus book because we didn't do this as part of the Vikings unit, but we have done it as part of geography. We came back later, and so I just want to mention it in case you want to incorporate it. It is part of the Circumference series, and it is Circumference and the Vikings Map. So Circumference is a series about math that I love, and this one is about maps and grids also, I would say, or graphing. See if I can kind of show you. They talk about the X and Y axis. And I wasn't really, like, I'm not quizzing my kids on that. I don't need them to know all of that, really. But it was a good introduction to that, and also it's just about maps, which is part of our geography study right now, but it has a Viking theme to it. I don't think it really teaches you that much about the Vikings themselves, so I didn't include it in the whole unit, but it could be a fun bonus book. So there you go, Vikings. I think this was one of my son's favorite units that we've done. It really piques his imagination for some reason. 6-year-old boys, so I guess he was 5 at the time, but young boys and Vikings. You might have a girl who likes Vikings too, and they had some pretty awesome women Viking warriors, actually. If you are doing this unit for yourself, go look that up, because there's been more found recently about how there were Viking women warriors that they found graves for. So, fun fact. But enough rambling. I will get some more history videos made for you to catch up, as well as some other content coming up soon. And until then, I will talk to you later, friends.